Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Shirley Ren, Director of CCG Publishing Center. Today is our great honor to host this book presentation in CCG office. Welcome you all. My special thanks first goes to all our contributors and also goes to Springer Nature Group. Without all your support, we couldn't make this book event happen. My special thanks also goes to Emily Zhang, the senior editor from Springer Nature Group. You help look after the whole publishing process. We really appreciate a lot. Thank you, Emily. First, please allow me to invite the co-editor of this book, Dr. Mabel Miao, to deliver the welcoming remarks. Please, Dr. Miao.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am Mabel Miao, Secretary General of Center for China and Globalization. Welcome you all to visit us and to this great event. The book we are going to introduce to you today oriented from an idea that helped to keep us connected when the pandemic of the century forced us apart. Right when the world was facing a global health and economic crisis that called for dialogue and cooperation. Many of the usual channels of interaction between people from different countries closed down. As the pandemic spread and geopolitical tensions rose, there was a greater need than ever for calm, rational discussion to share views, make sense of the momentous changes that were occurring, and find ways to work together. So we reached out to old friends and new to set up dialogues in the virtual format, which allows to us to speak with the leading experts around the world in Beijing via video links. That's how the CCG Global Dialogue program started. This series continued to develop, attracting audiences of hundreds of thousands of viewers in China and abroad. The list of participants grew to include prominent statesmen, global opinion leaders, Nobel laureates, policymakers with extensive experience at the highest level of government and multilateral institutions, and world-renowned scholars in fields such as international relations, economics, trade, and common challenges. To date, Dr. Huiyao Wang Henry has dialogued over 100 global top politicians, impactful opinion leaders, and thoughtful business founders. This is an unparalleled record among Chinese think tanks, and we are very glad to have helped deepen dialogue among the world opinion leaders, influencers, and movers, of course, the shakers. This one-on-one dialogue aims to foster an open, constructive, objective, and in-depth intellectual conversation with the top global leaders. The views shared by the guests in the dialogues are extremely valuable to understand our fast-changing global trends and challenges at the critical juncture. The dialogue also proposed a number of ideas on how to jointly create a peaceful, prosperous, and more inclusive world in these uncertain, unstable times as the old order structures into a new one. We are eager to share these stimulating talks in a form of books so that readers can absorb the insights shared by our speakers, compare and contrast their perspectives, and enhance their understanding of important issues such as geopolitical competition, shifts in power, globalization, global governance and multilateralism, the global economy, and the shared transnational threats, as well as China-US, China-EU, and China-Global South relations. We hope that these thought-provoking discussions will help readers to develop nuanced and balanced understanding of some of the most critical themes of our era. The first volume of CCG Global Dialogue, Understanding Globalization, Global Gaps and Power Shifts in the 21st Century, was published in 2022, with the Chinese edition appearing in 2024. Both have sparked heated discussions and responses, both domestically and internationally. Today, we are going to present the second volume of CCG Global Dialogues, China, New Geopolitics and Global Governance, which has been published by Springer Nature alongside with the Chinese edition, 中国与新地缘政治和全球治理, published by Sino-US Time Publishing House. This event is jointly hosted by the Center for China and Globalization, CCG, and Springer Nature. We are honored to have Lina Li, Springer Nature's editorial director for books in China, with us today. Welcome you. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to Lina and her team. Their encouragement and support were valuable to the publication of this book. We are also extremely grateful to all the discussants who participated in CCG Global Dialogue series. Without inspiration, insights, and generosity, the publication would never have been possible. I would like to thank the guests in attendance and look forward to hearing their insights during this event. Thank you all again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Miao, for introducing the China and Globalization series published by the Springer Nature Group. Now, please let me to invite Dr. Liana Li, Editorial Director for Books China from Springer Nature Group, to give her remarks. Welcome, Dr. Li.
Thanks, Mrs. Ren, for your welcoming award, and good afternoon, dear colleagues, friends, and President Henry Wang. I'm very happy and pleasured to be here and to open this pre-launch for our releasing new book today. So I almost feel half of a host here already in these kind of events. So I was chatting with Emily when we were walking towards the CCG office here. It has been a very good 8 years, or not even longer, that since we, Springer, the publisher, has started working with CCG in a series of several important book series publishing and some other promoting initiatives that the two organizations has been joining hands to promote scholarly works to Chinese readers, to the international audience groups, and also to the scholarly networks that we both work with. So in this partnership, Springer Nature contributes as the international publisher for the CCG series of books. And as an internationally leading science and technology scholarly book publisher, Springer enjoys the reputation and the fame of being the world's largest English language scholarly book and journal publisher. And we have a very sizable editorial team here in China that consists of nearly 25 book editors that spreads across all research disciplines, that we work with the researcher communities in China and with the dedicated efforts to try to promote and publish internationally the research findings from the Chinese group. So I heads up the team for humanities and social sciences editorial team. So it's my job and Emily's job to work with researchers from political science, social sciences, even philosophy and history in China on a daily basis to understand their work, to understand their breakthroughs, and to rally their writings, their ideas to the global scholarly audience. So as a scholarly publisher, I'm actually not initially used to this type of setup for book launches and to individual promotions of a single book, because we are more in a setup to speak to the global scholarly community collectively, and we heavily rely on e-marketing and online promotions to promote our books with the community. But the collaboration with CCG and on the book series of China and Globalization has been a very unique case, where we have been spending a lot of time and energy to organize the promotions, announcement, and book launches for every single book in the series. Why? Because the books in this series are slightly different from the regular scholarly works, where the scholarly works usually only speak to scholars. So it's confined to the ivory tower of a very small number of authors and readers, and who often are quite very much from the same group. But for the books in the China and Globalization series, I'd like to say that these are books with with callings. So they try always to please and to reach out to as many as possible ordinary readers and the public in the globe. In that effort, I'm grateful always. Every time I say that, I'm grateful for CCG for investing into publishing this book series, every book in the series, open access, which means every individual reader around the world will have free access to the full content of the book. The paywall is removed by CCG so that the content of these books can read as many as possible interested readers around the globe without time and space limitation. And because these contents, I do believe, really worth to be read by people around the world, the global south as well as the global north, and because these are the most important insights and the most important voices of our time that needs and deserve to reach as many as possible readers in the globe. And in this particularly book, we're talking about China, the new geopolitics, and the global governance. This is maybe one of the most interesting time of the global world that we are in. Maybe a small anecdotal encounter that I was in my company's management meeting in India last week, and we came from different parts of the world to meet up in New Delhi, where we talk about the future of research, we talk about the global scholarly communications, and we also talk about the future of our own company. And then the meeting ended on Friday. We fly out from New Delhi to different parts of the world again. And Saturday morning, I woke up in Shanghai, all smooth. That's a fairly smooth trip. But the next day, I learned my European colleagues took a very long detour on their way home to avoid going in the air of the conflict areas. It took maybe 2/3 much longer the flight time than their usual trips. So that's where I see that the global international politics, geopolitics, are intervening our daily life in a most unexpected way. So this makes it more interesting for individuals to try to forge an understanding of the wider global power dynamics and how that potentially or indirectly directly can affect individual lives. So in this respect, I also think that our publications are timely and important for many, many people, not only the researchers, not only the scholars, politicians, but really to every individual people in their everyday life. So in this context, I really want to frame the publication of our book, which is going to be released soon. Not only this one, but all the books in the China and Globalization series. So please watch out to the release of the new book. Later on, President Wang will give more details and in-depth about the stories, the contents in the book, and the context, how they came together as a group of authors and a collection of articles. But for now, I really want to express my gratitude to the authors, to your wonderful contributions, to CCG for your long-term partnership, investment, and all the good collaborations. And also make it a call for our readers please watch out to the new content. And if you are interested, most of the books in the series are available online. Check out our catalog and follow our book series. I think there you will find a lot of the most important and critical insights into our times. And now I hand over to Shelley and Dr. Wang for more inspiring discussions about the book of the content.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, for your wonderful speech and also for your continued support to CCG's publications. And now, please allow me to invite Dr. Huiyao Wang, founder and president of CCG, to give a presentation to this heavyweight volume. And Dr. Wang is the co-editor of this book. Welcome, Dr. Wang.
Great. Dr. Lee, Emily, and dear colleagues, also friends and scholars, and also all the audience this afternoon. It's really a great honor for me as a chief editor for this China and Globalization series, but also particularly for this book, myself and co-editor Dr. Miao, who spoke just now as well, on this book was really fascinating. We want to make a presentation of this a very unique book. As we hear from Dr. Lee, who is in charge of the humanity and all the social science book for Spring Nature in China, this book really presents a very unique opportunity that as we really want to present this new book, China, New Geopolitics and Global Governance, is our new book, is a part of the CCG Global Dialogue that we've been conducted for the last number of years, basically. And it's actually, we just want to introduce you this English version, but also the Chinese version of this important book. So basically, this book series, this belongs to the China and Globalization book series. And this book series seeks to create a balanced global perspective by gathering the views of highly influential policymakers, senior diplomats, multinational CEOs, practitioners, and opinion leaders from China and around the world. So that's really what is this book all about. Part of this China Globalization series. We're already in its 12th book now. We have 12 books now for this China Globalization series. And as Dr. Lee just mentioned, it's most of them are open online and can be accessed. So on this particular book, it's really a great effort to basically summarize up to 5 years for what we've done in the past. So CCG Global Dialogue actually started in 2021. So up to date, myself and basically dialogued with over 100 global top politicians, impactful opinion leaders, and thought business leaders, business and academic leaders as well. Those are one-on-one dialogue, which is very difficult to get hold of those very busy, influential people. But just to foster an open, constructive, objective, and in-depth intellectual conversation with those top world opinion leaders. So the views shared by the guests in the dialogues are extremely valuable to better understand our fast-changing trends and challenges. So the dialogue proposes a number of ideas on how to jointly create a peaceful, prosperous, and more inclusive world in a new multipolar world. So that's basically the idea how we started this, and we started this actually during the pandemic, where the whole world is cut off, and I was talking to myself, what should we do when we're isolated? We have a cut off, but fortunately we have internet, we have those cyberspace. So that's where we started this CCG Global Dialogue in 2021. So now we are eager to share those stimulus talks in the form of books, so that readers can observe the insights shared by our speakers, compare and contrast their perspectives, and enhance their mastering of the important issues such as globalization, global governance, multilateralism, global economy, global geopolitics, and also transnational threats and China-US, China-EU, and China-Global South relations. So I hope those thoughts can provide a discussion that will help readers around the world to have a nuanced and balanced understanding of some of those critical issues of our time. And particularly now, we are seeing the world is really much more dangerous than it used to be. And of course, now the dialogue continued. We also had a dialogue with foreign ministers of different countries, with ex-diplomat, ambassadors, top leaders. And as a matter of fact, this book, even though we started online, but now it's also become offline. And also every year, CCG holds over 100 events, and we have several key forums. And then we have many other roundtable dialogue that we're not including into this book. We have so many roundtable dialogue that was included. The book we collected here are only one-on-one dialogues, which are very, very important. So this book, as Dr. Lee mentioned, is open access. It will be open access, and then I'm sure will help the readers in every corner of the world that have a free access to the to get those thought leaders thinking, and from from the rise of China, evolving geopolitics, world economy, U.S.-China relations, the EU-China relations, and China and Global South, and many global governance issues there. Of course, also things like climate change, like international security, and many more. So we actually put into this book 51 dialogues, one-on-one dialogues that I conducted for the last 5 years for this book. And so the transcripts of those books are really a great content for the book. So those wide-ranging discussions offer unique insights and perspective to key trends shaping our world in the 21st century, and also about China's relation with the world and the global challenges, and we face the ways in which we can salvage multilateralism and reform the global governance that we have to do. So those are touching on the new trend and the intentions in geopolitics, and as well as evolving issues on China and globalization, the world economy outlook, and transnational threats, and how various actors can play a positive role in promoting peace and prosperity and in the post-pandemic era. I just recently returned from Munich Security Conference. We can see we are getting the multipolar world, yet the multilateral system is not there. So China and the new geopolitical reality and way to be strengthened the global governance are not there yet. So how can we really all work together is really important. So basically this book is divided into several parts. We have part 1, adapting to the changing geopolitical environment, part 2, managing global economic uncertainties, and part 3, addressing common global biggest issues. And so we can see that we have many dialogues. I just give you a few examples. For example, last year I had a dialogue with the former Danish foreign minister right here in CCG, and then he tells me why he was the Danish foreign minister, that his counterpart is Pompeo in the U.S., Secretary of State, former Secretary of State Pompeo, and then they were actually talking about the Greenland issue, even during his tenure as the foreign minister. Very interesting to see how geopolitical has been changed. And of course, we had one dialogue happened in the Munich Security Conference. That was with Graham Allison, the author of the Hades Trap book. But I also had another book on escaping the Hades trap. And he and I actually did a dialogue for my book at Munich Security Conference on this issue. So it's been featured as the Munich Security Conference recommended books on escaping Hades trap just last year. And of course, and then he come again to CCG many times. We did many talk with him. We also did one with Joseph Nye on quite a few occasions, and unfortunately he just passed away last year. But those sort of leaders, he's the father of the soft power, and then we can see how we can really work together on those global issues. And also last year I had a dialogue with the chief editor of Foreign Policy. He was in Beijing as well. We hosted him. So we were actually taking all the opportunity. Whenever there's a very important visitors to CCG, we're going to do a dialogue. I will announce that on March 20th, we're going to have a dialogue with Jeffrey Sachs and also Volk Jimmy, who was also one of the former minister of Serbs, also planned. And we're probably going to do in a year, we're going to have another dialogue with Hank Paulson. And so there's a lot of stuff we're doing. I'm not going to go to details. We had many dialogues. Some of those are really in the COVID time. For example, one of the dialogue we did was with Ray Dalio, one of the most famous U.S. businessmen, and on the changes and the challenges, moving forward the U.S. and China in a post-pandemic world. He's still very active. And then, so I think that we just did a lot of that. So this is all part one. I'm not going to go each every one of them. One of the figure I did was with the former the former founder of Heritage Foundation of U.S., the late Dr. Edwin Funer. He also passed away last year. But we have all those great thought thinkers and how to really look at the China-U.S. relations. And of course, Graham Allison, we have actually dialogue with Graham for several times. We hope to do it again. And there's also other Chinese scholars, like we did with Daxuan Feng and Ziqing Zhu, two famous U.S. American Chinese scholars, and also quite a few times actually. Stephen Roach is a well-known economist from U.S. We did another one with him on China-U.S. relations. And Neil Ferguson, a famous historian, British historian, we did another one with him too. So you can see this is wide-ranging, and also chairman of the Munich Security Conference. We did another one with Wolfgang Ischinger, the president of the Munich Security Conference. And of course, Kishore Mahbani, everybody knows him well, and he just published his latest autobiography that we translate that at CCG, and we had a fascinating dialogue with him on how he actually become a diplomat, a famous diplomat. And so this was just a month or two ago, right here at CCG. And of course, we did also many other dialogue with him too. So I think there's quite a number of over 50 of those people that we've been talked to, with different scholars and influencers and many more. So also Ronnie Chan, well-known Hong Kong entrepreneur, and also with Susan Sontag, the former Assistant Secretary of State of U.S. government. So we had a very, very interesting dialogue. And also with Harvard professor Tony Sachs, which is, when I was at the Harvard, he's a very close professor there. So that's just part one. We just briefly mentioned a few names, but part two, we will talk about managing global economic uncertainties. And then we talked with the famous Barry Buzan, the Authority on Globalization. We talked with Martin Wolf, chief economist of Financial Times. We also talked with the World Bank, Ahan Kozi, and the World Bank chief economist as well. And also we talked to Pascanami, the former WTO Director General, and just to name some, and also former Spanish Foreign Minister, and many more. And one of the interesting discussion we had was with Fred Bergenton. Fred is the founder of the Peterson Institute, one of the famous think tank in the U.S. So dialogue with him was really very, very stimulating. And he has this book. He was one of the earliest to propose G2, and very interesting. And of course, we also talked with Larry Summers, former president of Harvard and Treasury Secretary, and also Steve Roach. Again, we talked to him also. We also talk about with different politicians, like foreign minister. We dialogue with Estonian foreign minister just about 2 months ago here, and then a dialogue with Croatia foreign minister also last year again, and also deputy the former prime minister of Papua New Guinea here, right here, and ambassadors with the Brazilian ambassador to China, and Pakistan ambassador to China, and Ethiopia ambassador to China. And one of the interesting talk with Jim O'Neill, he actually coined the term BRICS. What he coined, he was just BRIC. So basically, he invented the terms of BRICS countries. We had a very interesting dialogue with him. And again, David Lampton is another famous U.S. scholar. We had a talk with him, and also we talked with also the former foreign minister of a country that he is also the Equatorial foreign minister, but also the General Assembly chairwoman, Maria. She came to CCG, and Dr. Miao actually had a dialogue with her. So very interesting. We had a lot of, one of the very impressive one was the global green transition. We talked with a Columbia professor, Adam Tooze. He came here, and which made a very stimulating prediction about China and green globalization. And also we talked with former UNESCO Assistant Deputy Secretary General, Gabriela Ramos as well. And also during my time at the talking to the president of Oxford Union Club in Oxford, which is probably the first Chinese think tank scholar that made a speech, had a dialogue, and also answered the question at Oxford Union in 200 years history of Oxford. Another one was very interesting with William Kirby. He's the Harvard professor. He does all the education research, and we're going to publish translated his new book, Top University. He has a research on that. And of course, we had a dialogue with Jeffrey Sachs at Athens Democracy Forum, and he plays the Aristotle, and I played Confucius, and we had a very good dialogue right here, right there at Athens in Greece. So it's really we had many dialogues. One of the dialogue I remember the most, the Empires of Ideas, which is the book of William Kirby. We did that dialogue at Harvard Library, very historical library right on the campus of Harvard 2 years ago. And also Justin Vassin is the founder of the Paris Peace Forum. We also did a dialogue with him. And one of the great thinker, also a think tanker, is the Richard Hess. He's the chairman of the Council of Foreign Relations for the U.S. for many years, and we had a very good dialogue as well, how to navigating an imperfect storm think tank in a changing world order. So, and then we did another one with Hank Paulson before, and we had with the other great thinker we did was John Hammer. He's the president of CEO of the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, the U.S. president. So we did one with him as well. So that's just a nutshell of what we have done. And because we have so many, we have done over 100. We have published in this book 51, and we published another one with one of the Springer's also publishing Power Grip, already CCG Global Dialogue. That book we already have. And here are just I'll give you some examples of free downloads of the CCG books there. And so I think we are very grateful for all those scholars and leaders and statesmen, policymakers that take the time out of their extremely busy schedule to have a dialogue with a think tank in China like CCG. Of course, CCG has been ranked for a number of years by University of Pennsylvania as a top 100 think tanks in the world, and the top 50 independent think tanks in the world. And also we are the only think tank in China has been granted the special consultant status by the ECOSOC of the United Nations. So we are very well bridged, positioned to engage those dialogues. And we also want to thank our cooperation partner, Springer Nature, for all doing all those help, and particularly Dr. Lee and Emily Zhang. And so I think I'll stop here just to see if there's any some question that we may still, and Dr. Lee and I can address. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wang, for your wonderful presentation, and it's a really amazing book. I hope the readers around the globe will love it. And now the floor is open to questions. Anyone have questions? Please raise your hand high, and the microphone is ready for you.
Well, thanks for your sharing, Dr. Wang, Dr. Lee. So in last month, we all know that at the Munich Security Conference, some leaders argue that the post-1945 world order no longer exists. Also, around the same time, the Ray Dalio wrote that the world may be entering the sixth phase of the Great Cycle, a chaotic period in which trade wars, technology conflicts, and capital competition become normalized, and may even escalate into military confrontation. Shortly thereafter, as we all know, the US and Israel launched a decapitation strike against Iran, while the United Nations appeared largely powerless to intervene. Given this increasingly conflict-ridden international environment, many contributors of this book still advocate reforming global governance institutions built after 1945. So my question is, in your view, does there remain any realistic hope for reforming the United Nations and the Bretton Woods systems? Thank you.
Okay, I just let me. Yeah. Okay. I'll briefly answer your question. I think there is a hope after Bretton Woods system. Certainly, we are getting into a multipolar world, and then the multilateral system is now there to sustain the multipolar world. So I think what we can do is that China and EU and Global South and all the other G20 countries should really work together. I mean, I think US probably temporarily deviated to a more unilateralism, but we hope that is going to change with the time. And but if not, we should really hope to all the rest of the countries should really work together. I was just in a webinar this morning with a number of U.S. and European scholars and Asian scholars. I was suggesting, like, for example, CPTPP is the most advanced trade agreement that Canada, Australia, Japan, and New Zealand, and Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam are all there. And then UK just joined that. And European Union wants to seek cooperation with CPTPP, and China wants to join CPTPP. So on the trading system, we can really find ways to work together, and maybe starting with the trading system, more advanced, more globalized, would be a good start. So I'm still optimistic, cautiously, that we're having a big setback, but I don't think that's the end of the world. Fortunately, China has become a new anchor of the global economy now, and I'm sure that China and other countries can also work together to really sustain the system and improve the system and reform UN and all the multilateral system. Like China just recently gave $500 million to WHO when US pulling out. I think China can really play more role as time goes on. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, here.
Thank you so much for the wonderful talk on the book. It was so enlightening to me. This year marks the beginning of China's 15th year plan period, and the annual 2 sessions that just happened. China's GDP has also surpassed 140 trillion RMB in 2025, with Deputy Director of the National Bureau of Statistics, Shen Glaoyun, stating that China is the strongest and most stable anchor for global economic growth. So against the backdrop of the Munich Security Conference, President Henry, declaring the old order is dead, in the conference. So what does China's proposed role as a stabilizing anchor actually signify? And how can China uphold its development and security interests while maintaining multilateralism and supporting United Nations reform?
Yeah, thank you. That's another good question. I think what China wants to do is that China is already the second largest economy of the world. And then I'm sure that comes with more responsibility as well. And China is already doing, for example, RCEP, which is the largest free trade agreement. China launched the AIIB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and China also helped to launch this new development bank of the BRICS countries. And China particularly launched this Belt and Road Initiative. So that is really injecting some global public goods for global South countries around the world. And so I think, one of the things China can do is really to lead the economic globalization, commercial globalization, and business globalization, because China become the largest trading partner with 150 countries. And so if China continues to do that, I think there will be comparison that we have this over-securitization, that certain country that is leading on that, and particularly the unilateral securitization, that my security is at the expense of your security. That approach is not really going to work. So you're right. Munich Security Conference last year report was to recognize multipolarity, and then they made a launch on that. I was at a launch event speaker there, and I found that even more so this year, the people worry about the world is falling apart and how we can really work together. But I think at least China is doing on the economic front, on the security front, and China can be an anchor. At least China itself has produced enough deterrence that it won't be easy to challenge China. So China can provide some more justice, more protection, and calling for UN Security Council, calling for the global community to really work on the global security issue. Like President Xi, proposed global security initiative. Global Development Initiative and Global Governance Initiative, I think all those initiatives will be really new to really help to shape some new thinking for the future of global governance and security.
Well, and if I may add from some, again, a daily life perspective. So also from my conversation with my global colleagues, we just finished the Chinese New Year holidays, and a lot of international friends are watching how the Chinese are celebrating on TV, online, and through their daily networks. And my boss was particularly interested to see our drum shows in all the theme parks. And they were, my boss, she is from the Netherlands, the Dutch. So she particularly asked me, do you really have so many drum shows at celebrations? I said, yes, it's fairly common. And every city in a sizable park or theme parks, there are drum shows on a daily basis. And she said, well, that is very impressive, and how technology is used in your country. Drones are certainly pretty on the show, but I also feel lucky that you're not using it for military purposes. So that is, well, very teeny anecdotal reflection from the international ordinary people. So they see that we are playful, we're peaceful, we're using these advanced technologies just for fun, for decorations. And well, that's, people see Chinese as a peaceful factor, and also appeal to read, to research to books for wisdom and for understandings. Scholarly books provide a lot of contextual, political, cultural backgrounds about how the Chinese politics evolves, how the Chinese political wisdoms has evolved over the years, and how that differs from the military, bilateral, and intrusive political traditions that some of other world's leading powers. So books still is a good place to find many good answers to a lot of our daily questions.
Okay. Anyone has questions? Okay.
It's my great honor to be part of the meeting. As we all know that China-US relations represent the most critical bilateral dynamic of the 21st century, and Thucydides' trap is a term often used to describe this relationship. Yet observing America's current bullying and hegemonic actions, it is evident that China and the US diverge significantly in their visions for bilateral relations and the global order. Is it still possible for China and the US to move toward a competitive cooperation model? And can the idea of establishing a Sino-US secretariat mentioned by the dialogue participants in this book still be realized?
Okay, I can answer that question first. Well, I think that as I have dialogue in this book with Graham Allison, a Harvard professor, also the founding dean of Harvard Kennedy School, I think our conclusion was that Thucydides' trap can be avoided. We can escape Thucydides' trap, and the reason for that is quite a few. For example, we are living a different age of the Thucydides age now. I mean, U.S. and China are mutually destructive, mutually assured destruction. MAD has reached this mutual deterrent level. And then thirdly, we are too much intertwined with the world. If we really attack each other, or they're going to affect the world, and then the world is going to disappear. So this is quite serious issue. So how to do that? I think I really hope that we're going to have more dialogue. So I'm very pleased to see President Trump is coming to China at the end of this month, and also. We're going to have an APEC summit and a G20 summit, both in China and the US. So I'm sure the top leaders of both countries will have a chance to meet again within a year. So the more we talk, the more better. And then also that the people-to-people exchanges are really important. I hope that all the G7 countries are now all visa-free coming to China, except US. So I hope that we could have more U.S. Citizens to enjoy the free visa status probably when Trump comes. That may happen. And then we also see there's still a 250,000 of Chinese students in the United States. And we hope to see more U.S. students come to China. And then if we see more tourism, there's more people-to-people exchanges. This kind of huge traps probably can be avoided. I like the Steve Rogers' idea that we should set up a U.S.-China secretariat to handle on a daily basis, and whether that be hosted in Switzerland or in any other country. I mean, I'm open to that, but I do think both the U.S. embassy and Chinese embassy in both capitals can do a great job. And so I do think that we have also summits, and we haven't have any summits for the last 6 years. And so I hope that an official visit by the President of the United States to China can be a good start to stabilize this, as President Trump put it, this G2 relations and near-peer relation that has been mentioned in the U.S. strategic report. So President Xi also said U.S. and China, if we work together, they can do many greater things and bigger things for the world.
Okay, anyone has more?
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and congratulations for your books. So, as we all know, in the recent U.S. Israel strike against Iran, artificial intelligence was reportedly used as a powerful weapon. And before his passing, Henry Kissinger expressed grave concerns that unregulated AI could become an existential threat to humanity. And OpenAI, now collaborating with U.S. military, has faced widespread criticism for fully accepting government cooperation terms and removing from its models the safety restrictions that prohibit using fully autonomous lethal weapons. So my question is, given this stance from the United States, the nation with the most advanced AI capabilities, how can the world establish meaningful global coordination on AI regulation? Thank you.
Maybe I'll just first say something, and then Nia can add that too. So, well, I think that the AI is fortunate or unfortunate. It depends how we're going to use that. How the governance for using AI can be put forward, because you're right. You see the AI is developed and regulated. It's something. There's no governance for the AI. Everybody is starting to talk at AI now, and Graham Ellis and Henry Kissinger was right. When during Henry Kissinger's last piece of his article, he warned about this AI danger and AI race. And so what I think that actually in our dialogue we mentioned this a few times too, that we should really have a global governance to that, and particularly China and the U.S. As two most advanced AI countries should really talk to each other and set the standards and use the AI to contribute to the world. Rather than we're using AI for the war. I mean, I noticed that you talk about Iranian war right now, that U.S. Israel launched, and then there was AI tool used for that war. As Leon just mentioned, that your colleagues has to stop their flights, bypass the Middle East to return home. So it's really getting very tight. I'm sure there's a lot of publications on that too, huh? Yeah, maybe you can add something.
Well, in principle, all technologies are neutral by themselves. People develop and try out new technologies to enhance the productivity of human beings and to extend the capability of human brains and human intelligence. So exactly, if you look at the scientific records, the discussion about artificial intelligence goes back at least 50 years ago. And there are full swing of publications on the development, the boundaries, the capacities, potentials, opportunities of artificial intelligence. And there are 100 years of artificial fictions about how machine will replace or even rule over human. So from a technical perspective, the development of artificial intelligence and technology has been a continuous process. And if you look at scientific research, particularly medicine, engineering, and computer science, the application of AI in a daily research has been on for at least 20 years. So absolutely every new technology is an enablement factor for human capabilities and is an improvement. I think the only crisis that we see now started from the mass-scale use of generic AI. That's when algorithm generated contents started to dilute our daily language. It comes into the public domain in news, in our formulation of the reality, and also into literature and artistic creations. So as a publisher, we have also been trying to find an industry-wide, global-wide approach to how to tackle with AI and how to mitigate the risk of AI. I can only speak from my perspective, that is the scientific scientific research publishing industry. And our role is to record and communicate scientific research. So from these fundamental goals and aims of our industry, we have come to two very principal rules for the use of AI. So first, in scientific research and the daily production system, use of AI is not avoidable. So whoever uses AI in their research articles or books need to be fully transparent about what kind of AI technologies are used, which version, which brand, and how are they used. The second principle is even more important, is that artificial intelligence is a tool for human beings. So they can never make discoveries. They cannot generate new ideas on behalf of human beings. So AI can only be a tool. As a publisher, we do not accept tools, algorithms, or AI as the author or the owner of any publication's data, findings, or ideas. So there always has to be an author, a true researcher behind every piece of work, that these people, this human, can be held responsible for anything that is articulated in the form of publication. And these human beings are also responsible or take ownership of any scientific finding behind any patents or publication formats.
Okay, time is running out. We will pick the last question.
Maybe, I don't know if Emily added anything, no? Okay. Perhaps Zhichen can make some comment. He's our chief editor for Pekinology, East is Red, and CCG Update. So I saw you are here.
Thank you. Henry, I was just wondering, you've been speaking with so many, opinion leaders, most of them like well-known figures, former politicians, and very good professors in very good standing in the United States, in Europe. So, what was your secret, like, to getting so many people to agree to speak to you, like presenting them presenting the dialogues internationally or domestically? You seem to be like the only Chinese figure that have been doing this. Like, how did you start to do this? What is the reason that these people would just be very keen and also valuing the opportunity to talk to you and shape a narrative both internationally and also, I guess, within China that fosters more understanding and more, basically peace-oriented, less confrontation. Like, how did you do that?
Yeah. Thank you, Zichen. And no, you raise a very interesting question. Actually, CCG has been established for 18 years now. We always want to be a bridge, and I have actually used to be a visiting fellow at the Brookings and the Harvard Kennedy School, so I had a better understanding on both sides. I also spent some time in Europe, in the UK as well. So I, of course, as a Chinese think tank, I think our mission, our role is really to bridge the gap and promoting the mutual understanding. And then the question you raised is really the key question is how do we get all those so many global opinion leaders, global influencer, and global big heavyweight to agree to talk to us. I think it's probably, I would say it's a all-rounded effort. CCG, like the books we published with Springer was already for a long time. That certainly helps, and many other publishers too. And then we've been doing events with for the last 18 years in China, and we also we are also doing a lot of research, and then of course I think Zichen helped us run these newsletters. We've been sending those letters regularly, so people know us quite well, and also our ranking in the global think tank among the Chinese non-government think tanks is very high. For example, we ranked as the number one non-government think tank in China and the top 50 in the world. So all those qualifications criteria actually helped. But I think the most important thing is how you engage with those people. You need a really good find a good angle, find an interesting a topic of these people that in their influencing world, in their domain. So we'll have to do a lot of research. Our team, our research team, our publishing center, and all the people, we have to do a lot of research to really find out what are the people we want to dialogue, his interest and his expertise. And then that's where we approach them, we accommodate them, we find the suitable time, early morning, late evening, whatever. Sometimes very late in evenings in China. But now we have already established a brand now. So it's much easier. For example, CCG was the only Chinese think tank for 9 years in the Munich Security Conference to hold the official Munich security side event. Only think tank from China. So we are very well established and recognized. And now people coming to Beijing are knocking doors to want to speak at the CCG. We receive a number of foreign ministers, a number of ambassadors, and all the great scholars. So that there's a repetition. So I think it won't happen in a day. It was really a dedicated effort for long term, but it's all associated with all other works that CCG is doing, and all our team are doing a great job. And also, particularly, we want to thank Springer Nature, a world-renowned publisher, also in supporting us. And also the book, I think this book will really become another promoter for our global dialogue, because people see you already dialogue with 100 world leaders. Why can't you do 101? 150? So we will continue, and this probably is the reason that we can think of. Thank you.
How time flies. This event comes to an end. Thank you, Dr. Wang, and thank you, Dr. Li. And thank you all our audience on the spot and online. See you next time.
you. Thank you.